Hi, welcome to Beyond Politics. I'm Catherine Clark. Lots of people choose a career in law as a good avenue into politics. Not my next guest, Conservative MP Dona Cadman. She lived in a commune, ran a daycare, and lost both her son and her husband before deciding to take a run for a federal seat of her own. She joins me now to talk all about a very unique life beyond politics. Dona Cadman, welcome to Beyond Politics. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, you've grown up all over the country, some time in Germany as well. You were a military kid.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was different. You were adaptable. You had to be adaptable and be able to fit into the environment that you went to. So you would leave one place and go to another place, and you would have to fit in. So it was hard at times. I found it was easier when I was younger, but as I got older, you made friends, and it was hard to leave those friends.
Do you remember what it was like for your parents? I'm assuming your dad was the military.
Yes.
And your mom was. Did she work, or was she?
She worked on the base too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it tough for them as well to move so much and to leave behind friends?
I'm sure it was hard for everybody. You know, being a parent now and knowing all the stuff that has to be done before a move or anything like that. I mean, it must be hard. I don't know how they did it, but they did it with a lot of fun, and they made it fun for us.
Yeah. Whereabouts have you lived?
I've lived in New Brunswick, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and BC, and Germany.
Do you have was there a preferred place along
BC.
Really? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Did you like Germany?
Yeah, I did. I was 9 till about 12
right.
when I was over there, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Very exciting because we used to take 6 weeks off a year and go traveling. So
no matter where you were, or just when you were in Germany?
When we were in Germany,
okay.
We would take our 6 weeks of holidays all at once, and we would travel around.
Oh, isn't that great?
So that was nice. So we did a lot of camping then.
And would you remain in Europe then?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we went to quite a few places in Europe. You know, Italy and Spain and France and Belgium, and we didn't go over to the eastern side, but and Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and Great Britain.
Yeah. How big was your family?
At that time, there was only the 4 of us. I had a brother that's 3 years younger, and then when I was 14, my mother surprised us with a baby.
I'm sure she surprised herself too.
I'm sure she did. She was totally unexpected, but
a baby boy or girl?
A baby girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the baby girl, what was her name?
Leanne.
How did Leanne fit into family life?
Well, I was only home till she was about 4 1/2. So I had left when I was 18. So I only had her for the baby years. So I missed her growing up.
Yeah.
So, but
was that a good thing?
Probably. Yeah, she was a good baby. She was a good baby, but we missed out on a lot. You know, growing up as sisters, because it was more long distance relationships. But we're very close now.
You are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Does she live in BC?
Yeah, she lives in Maple Ridge.
Yeah. So, when you say that you left at 18, did you leave to go to school, or had you just had enough of military life?
I just decided, well, 68 was the height of hippie era, and I was doing my flower child thing, and I decided to come to the West Coast. And I had relatives out here that were willing to put me up and help me out, so that's where I came.
Okay, so you didn't kind of end up in a commune or something?
I came later.
That came later?
I came later. Yeah.
Okay, great. So first you're living with relatives. At what stage did you move to a commune?
I would say probably about 2 months after I had arrived there.
No
I
kidding.
had met Chuck, and we hit it off very well. And offer of a commune came along and we hopped in.
Tell me what it was like.
It was fun at the time. Probably very illegal. Yeah, very illegal. But it was a lot of fun. There were 17 people in the house, and it was quite a thing to live in. We lived there for about 4 months.
Right.
So it was enough. It wasn't the type of commune that we wanted to be in. It got to be a very more drug overlays and heavy drugs, and we just weren't into that. So we decided, nope, not for us. So we went and we got a house together.
What were the positive aspects? Not to
positive aspects of being with a group of people. At that time, hippies had the bad name. So it was nice to be with a group of people like yourself, and with the same values, and that was good. But you didn't have privacy. There's no privacy in a communal house. Because every room was everyone's room? No, we all had our own rooms. It was a big house. But everybody, like Chuck and I, had our own room, which we were lucky, and others were two. Basically, there was 2 or 3 in a room. So. How did your military family, this family that would have been rules-based and worked in a very set environment, handle the fact that their daughter was... And were you married? No, so we were unmarried, living in a commune. Living in sin was the term at that point. I think it still is. So, yeah. We lived together for a year before we got married. How did your family react to that whole Initially, when I wrote and told them that we were going to get married and that we had been living together, it was a very nice letter back, but you could read between the lines, like, we are very pleased to have okay, you can come and visit. But, it was one of those, but they really loved Chuck. When they met him, they just fell in love with him. There was, it was great. So let's take a step back and tell me about when you first met your late husband, Chuck. Was it kind of one of those flashbulb moments, or... You want the true story? Oh, yes, I do. Okay. I was going out with another gentleman, and this was at another commune house, and we were downstairs in the kitchen, and Chuck was there, and one of the girls from the house had baked a peach pie. So we were eating peach pie, and we got introduced that way. Never thought much of it. The next night, he was waiting to go catch a ride to go back to Toronto, and his ride never showed up. So I showed up and asked him what he was doing, and he said, I'm waiting for a ride, but obviously he's not coming. I said, well, if you need a place to crash tonight, come on over to my place. So he said, okay. And he never left. Wow, that's amazing. Did you realize that you were in love? Not then. I would say about 2 days later. Oh, so there's a long gap. There was a long gap, yeah. There was 2 days, a very long gap, but it was very endearing. And where did you get married? We got married in Clinton, Ontario. My parents were at a military base there. Did you both have super long hair? Yes, you did? We did. Chuck got his cut for the wedding, though. That's a nice, your parents would have appreciated that, Well, they took hacks at it. Oh, did they? Yeah, they were the ones that cut it. I felt so sorry for him. And he was going, all these faces. The things he'll do for love. I know. Isn't that something? Yeah. So you got married in Ontario, but you ended up back then in BC? Yes, we lived for a year in Brampton, and then we decided in June of '71 to come back out to BC. For what? For what?
Yeah, I mean, did you have jobs?
No, we didn't. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have anything. We just couldn't stand the weather here anymore.
Okay.
It was just enough.
Okay.
I told Chuck, I'm going. Are you coming? So we went back, and that's where we stayed. We were both very happy there.
Did you have children at that point?
No, we didn't. We didn't have children until we got back, not till 72.
And did you know where you were going to go? I mean, when you decided, okay, let's move back to British Columbia, did you know?
No, it was back to Vancouver.
Okay.
Was the thing. Just back to Vancouver, and then we decide then.
Yeah. So, what did you do when you got back to BC?
We had odd jobs that we were doing. One of the odd jobs is we were cleaning cars for a dealership.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So would you do that at night, or was
that was a day job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and what other odd jobs? Because that is a decidedly odd job.
That is an odd job. Well, I waitressed. I didn't do very well. I wasn't very. Oh, I'm a terrible waitress.
Okay.
Oh,
because
I was
you
breaking
can't
more.
balance
No, I can't balance the way they wanted me to carry, and I was breaking too much dishes. And
did they dock that out of your pay?
Yes.
Do they really?
Oh yeah, at that time they did.
Wow.
So I think I ended up with about $10 after 2 weeks. So I thought that wasn't my job.
Does that translate to your prowess in the kitchen now?
I'm better.
Okay.
I'm better now in the kitchen.
Right.
Because
it's your own stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I do have odd glasses though, so.
But that, you can actually just set that down to being stylish.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's what magazines tell us to do now, to have assorted collections.
Right.
So you're just ahead of the curve.
Okay.
So did you have permanent jobs, formal training even?
No. Chuck was trying to start a band again.
Okay.
So we were doing the band route, the rehearsals, finding people and doing that sort of stuff. So that's where we focused most of our energy on, was to get him into a band.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And had you any band aspirations, or were you just
I'm just a roadie.
You're just a roadie.
Yeah.
Good.
Were
you a good manager?
No, I'd never be a manager. No. I just know how to strip the gear down. That's my job.
So when did your kids come along?
Jody came around in 73, and Jessie came around in 76.
And did you stay at home with them?
Yes, I daycared for 7 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How many kids?
The max I had one summer was 11.
Where do you think, because that requires a very special level of patience. Not just to care for your own kids, but to care for other people's kids. What kind of a personality do you think that you have that allowed you to take care of that many kids?
I just love kids, so I mean, it's easy. If you can keep them amused and entertained, they're good for you.
Yeah.
So you've just got to keep them happy.
Did any of your daycare training help you in the House of Commons?
Patience. Yes, patience.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Sometimes you are dealing with children in there, so yeah.
The things, all these traits that we learn to call upon later in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things that you would never think you'd need.
So how did you become involved in your community then? You were at daycare, and was Chuck still working in a band?
He was working weekends. He worked weekends.
Tricky.
Yeah, worked weekends for years and years. Plus he went to night school 3 nights a week and worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had a heavy load.
And after daycaring, what did you do?
After daycaring, I went and I worked for the post office.
Right. And what were you doing for them?
For them, I was an inside sorter, and then when they started bringing out these NDOs, where you could buy stamps at malls and stores, we had a mall in BC that had one of these stores, and I worked there.
Okay. And your activity, your involvement in real community work started with your son?
Jody. We would have been with Jody.
Okay.
She started in softball.
Right.
And I started coaching. I coached her for 6 years. And then Chuck got into baseball and soccer with Jesse, so he ended up coaching. So.
And then you had an absolutely horrifically tragic event when your son was killed.
Mm-hmm.
That could have forced a lot of people to retire completely from any kind of life at all. But you and your husband chose to actually try to do something positive, try to have some kind of positive outcome from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about what happened to your son and then what you did?
Okay, it happened October 17th, 92. That's the start. It was a Saturday, and the kids went out with their friends, and Chuck and I were at home. And Jesse had a soccer game the next day, so he was going to be coming home by 11. And Jody was spending the night out. And anyway, we got a call about 11:15, and I thought, okay, it's Jesse phoning to see if he can stay out or whatever. But it wasn't. It was a strange voice and asking me if I had a son by the name of Jesse, and I went, yes. And she said, well, he'd been in a fight. He was at the hospital. And sort of said what kind of fight. They wouldn't really say. They just said, you should get down here. So we're only 5 minutes from the hospital. So Chuck and I jumped into the car and went down to the hospital and were met by 2 police officers. And they sort of had pieced together from the other 2 witnesses that were with Jesse what had sort of happened, so they let us know. And Jesse had been stabbed in the back, and it pierced his heart and his lung, so his chances of survival were nil. You know, quarter inch either way and would have been fine. But they did their best, and it was about 1:10 when they came out and told us that he hadn't made it.
Did you think that he would? I mean, even...
I was hoping, you know. You always hope. You hope for the best, you know. But when he came, it was like a dream. It was like your worst nightmare, you know. They're telling you something, but you're not believing it. It's not sinking in.
What was it that had happened?
What had happened is that the 3 boys with Jesse, like there was 2 Jeremys and Jesse, were walking down the street, and across the street in a parking lot, there was 6 boys, boys. They ranged from 23 to 17, and they had been out joyriding. They had stolen the truck that they were in. They had been drinking and smoking, and they went and did a B&E. They were just a bunch of kids out for no good. And the oldest of the lot had been on the phone, had a fight with his girlfriend, and he was just in a pissy mood. And he saw the boys across the street, 6 against 3, easy target. He went racing over across there and sucker punched Jesse in the eye, and that's it.
For no reason?
For no reason.
How did you reconcile that with your kind of view of the entire world? How do you accept the fact that your child has been killed for absolutely no valid reason?
All I can say is wrong place, wrong time. I mean, if one thing had gone one way differently, this wouldn't have happened. You know? I don't know.
How did it impact you and your husband?
Oh, it impacted greatly. I mean, Jesse was a real joy. And him and Chuck were very close. So it hit Chuck very hard. But a very hard adjustment. I didn't do very well for about 3 months. Like, I just was in bed with the covers over my head. That's how I dealt with it. And then Chuck finally got me out and see a doctor, and then I was better.
What, was it just that got you out of bed? Just that he said?
Well, yeah, he had put a little stronger than that, but, you know, it was, you know, you can't do this for the rest of your life. You got to do something.
And Jody?
Jody is very, she's a mixture of the two of us. She's got Chuck's logic and hard work ethic, but she's got my compassion. So for her, it was a hard thing to do. One thing I feel guilty about not being there for her at the time, but I couldn't do anything because I couldn't help myself. And a lot of that pressure had to be thrown onto her shoulders, which is, for a 19-year-old, that's hard. You know, so.
Does she talk about it now?
Oh, yeah, we talk about it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talk about them all the time.
Yeah. You formed a group a little while later, not too much later, but a little while
93.
later. You formed a group to try and achieve some sort of, as I said earlier, a positive.
Yeah, it was called Crime, Responsibility and Youth, CRY for short. And what it was is we wanted to reflect the laws the way the people wanted them. One of the laws that they were really upset with is that you had to go to a raise hearing if it's a horrific case, like if someone's murdered. If he was 17, he had to go for a special trial to see if he could be raised to adult. That puts the victims once more into an awkward place. Then they have to go through another trial. So what we wanted to do was eliminate that one trial, and if it was a horrific crime, he had to prove why he shouldn't be in adult court. So the onus is on him now. So that was one of the laws that we managed to get in. Was
this one of the reason why your husband decided to run initially for a federal seat? Because you wanted to try and
get more changes? Yes. Yeah, he felt he had done as much as he could on the outside and thought maybe he could do something on the inside.
How did you feel about his decision to run?
Oh, I was all for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it meant that you would be separated, because I mean,
we weren't though. I came with him all the time.
Did you?
I traveled back and forth with him. Yeah.
Did you find that was that a helpful part of your relationship? The fact that you were together all the time and you were doing it together.
I think so, because you find the divorce rate on Parliament Hill is quite something. So, yeah, it was one of the ways to keep us together.
And did he like it?
Me following him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, because he'd come home and I'd have supper ready for him.
Yeah, who wouldn't like that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, even if you're breaking dishes in the kitchen. It's still a hot meal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, no, it worked out really well.
Your husband passed away, and he really, when he passed away, the whole country took notice, because in his final days, he was the center of media attention as the Liberal government was teetering on the brink, and he cast a crucial vote. Was that whole experience of having to live again a tragedy in a public way damaging for you in any way?
No, I don't. Yes, no. There are times that you want the privacy, but I realized too that Chuck just didn't belong to me. He belonged to all of Canada. So another one of those things of welcome to my home, and here I am. You know, this is what's left of when you met us first. You know. So.
Why did you run?
Why did I run? I just, you know, I thought the people of Surrey had given us so much, and it's just been great. And the outpouring of love when Chuck died was just incredible. Was just incredible. I think I must have heard from every person in Surrey. And I just thought that I've got time to do something, and why not do this? I've been involved with it since '97. I know the ropes. A little different on the other side.
Yeah,
little different things, but
better or worse? They're just different.
They're just different. Yeah, they're just different. It's a little like technical and non-technical. Being a spouse, you're on the non-technical side. Being an MP, you're on the technical side now. So it's just a little different, but it's interesting.
What is it that keeps you doing this?
I'm not finished yet. I'm sure I'll have another journey after this one, you know.
You seem really philosophical. I mean, you seem to approach your life in a pretty philosophical way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Where does that come from? Do you
years
make yourself
of hard living? You get down to the yeah, I think you get down to the basics, and that's where you start, you know.
When you have lost you know, immensely important people in your life, and you've gone to that depth of raw pain and sorrow, do you take things as seriously as other people? Do you
No. I mean, if my coffee wasn't the right temperature, I probably would have thrown a fit. Now I don't care what temperature it is. Little things don't bother me. You have to look at the big scheme, and you know, sometimes those little things don't matter. You know, it's going to get done, or it's not going to get done. There's always tomorrow.
Do you have a motto by which you live your life?
Yeah, and I bet you I can't get it right either.
That's great.
Isn't that great?
No, that's really good, because that's kind of what life is all about.
Yeah.
I have a motto, I just can't remember what it is.
I remember the gist of it, but I don't think I'd be able to get it right down to the nitty-gritty of, like, she uses less words than what I would probably use.
Yeah. Are you glad that you've done this in the end?
Yeah,
like,
I am.
You think this is something you'll keep doing as long as the residents of Surrey will?
As long as they'll have me, I'll be happy to serve. Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate that you took the time to talk today.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks,
I wish you the very best.
Thank you.